Hello everybody, back again. I know it's been over a year since I created a video, but let's continue that uh, video from last time where I was creating a circular pattern. Part 2 will be creating a linear pattern on a plate. Very simple, very easy. What we're going to do is create our plate by doing a rectangle. Um, we'll start here and just create a sort of a square rectangle. It doesn't matter um, what size it is. And what we want to do is we want to create a hole up here in this left-hand corner. So we'll just do a circle to represent the hole. And as you remember from last time, if you want to get a reference point for your relative positioning, you just pick what reference point that you want. I want that corner up there, and then I'm just going to hit, before I click, I'm going to just hit escape. Now it has marked that spot as the relative point, the last relative point I've picked. So let's just repeat our circle command, and where we want the specific center point, we use the @ symbol and 1, comma, -1. So what this is saying is in the X direction I want to go 1 inch, and that would be to the right. And in the Y direction I want to go 1 inch, and the negative sign means down. If I'd have left it a +1, it would have went up above the reference point. But I want to go below the reference point, so I put -1. I'm going to hit enter, and whoops. Why did it do that? Oh, it's because it's so huge. That's why. Yeah, we're doing a huge plate here. So instead of radius, I want to hit D for diameter. D, and I want the diameter to be 1/2 inch, 0.5, and enter. Okay, so now I have my 1/2 inch hole in my giant plate here. Well, that leaves us a lot of room for making a pattern. So now we have our hole. I think I'll zoom in a little bit more on that. So, whoops, it seems to be not very responsive, probably because of my capture software. So what I want to do is a pattern. So we click on pattern, and yes, we want linear. And it says select entity, so I'll click on that and click that, and right click, should take me back in. Okay, and for our pattern, uh, for the vertical axis, I'm going to say 6. Click 6 here, and uh, that's the number of holes. And you can see up here it gives you a preview. This doesn't always work. Sometimes it doesn't update in DraftSight. You can see it's only showing 4, so it didn't update to 6. So that's kind of what our pattern is going to look like. And the distance between our pattern holes is 4 inches, and they're 0.75 inches apart. So that leaves us a 1/4 inch between the holes. So that looks good, but always preview first. Preview. And yes, that's what I was expecting it to do. So that's fine. That created my pattern the way I wanted it. So and let's just assume that this plate is going on the side cover for a machine. You know, it might have another hole in each corner with for screws that holds it onto a box or whatever, a machine. And let's just say these holes here are so that we can mount a fan up in this corner, and this will open up um, this will open up a a grid for our to allow air to go through, and the fan will be mounted over the top of these so that it allows air to pass through it. Um, so what I would do here, instead of a big pattern of holes, now this, you know, I could go ahead and redo this and add a bunch of holes in between, just single holes in between. But what would really work better would be slots. Like if we had slots here, that would work better. And in actuality, you know, as a designer designing mechanical stuff, I would put the slots closer together than 0.75. As I said, between here and here is a 1/4 inch. I'd probably want that to be an 1/8 of an inch for something like allowing air to pass through, and you want the little bars in between so that, you know, things can't get through there. Larger things couldn't get through there to get sucked into the machine or whatever from the fan. Um, so basically, I'm going to hit escape and change my pattern. As it says down here, you can press escape and return to dialog. So I'm going to change the vertical axis to 5/8. Now, the nice thing here is you can do it two ways. You know, 0.75 is 3/4 of an inch, and 5/8 is actually 0.625 inches. But you know, if you didn't know that, for instance, of course, I've done this for so long, I know that 5/8 is 0.625 inches. Or you can get a calculator and you know, do the division, 5 divided by 8. Well, here you can actually put the the fraction in, and it so basically you can put the 5/8 in. Uh-oh, hit the wrong number. 5/8 in, and it calculates it for you. So you know what it calculates that to is 0.625, and it works the same way. So, and as far as the number, uh, the number of holes, you only need one. So we're only repeating it one. We could actually just copy that for this, but I'm just showing you as a matter of fact. So we're only going to have 2 holes with this. So let's preview that. We'll have 1 hole at 4 inches over here. Like I said, we could have easily just copied that over to 4 inches and been done with it. But, you know, I wanted to show you how to do this pattern. So I'm going to right click to accept the pattern. And now we have our two holes. Now in order to make a slot, all I need to do is add a line and join it from quadrant to quadrant. In AutoCAD and in DraftSight, uh, circles it has a quadrant point, snap point, at the bottom, the top, and on the left and on the right. Those are quadrant points. Kind of makes it easy to snap to a circle. So let's do that again, and I'm going to do it at the bottom this time, but I'm going to show you the other quadrant points. See, there's a quadrant point, and if I scoot on up, oop, there's the other one. And then if I scoot on up again, there's the third one, and of course the fourth one is at the top. But what I want is the one on the bottom, so I'll click on that, and I'll catch the quadrant point on this one at the bottom, and hit enter. Now, this is not a slot yet. I have to trim the inside of these circles, which is simply, you go down here to the little scissors in the menu, and that's trim. You click trim, and then see it's asking for cutting edges. If you right click, it just what it's going to do is figure out what you're trying to do. It'll do it by itself. So I'm going to right click, and now it just asks for the segments to remove, and I want that segment and that segment. You see, it's pretty smart. It figured out what you wanted to do there, so it cut those segments out. Now I'm going to right click, enter, I'm done. Now what we want to do now is do our pattern of this slot with one single row and 6 slots. But we want them 5/8 apart, and I'm going to do a pattern. Well, actually I'm going to select this whole thing first, put a window around it. Now I'm going to do my pattern, and I still want a linear pattern, but as you can see, I don't need to. It says 4 entities specified, and you can see it's got the dashed lines around the part that I just selected. Now, in the vertical axis, I'm going to go ahead and put 6 here, and in the horizontal axis would be just 1. So we're going to have one row of 6 slots, and instead of 0.75, as I was telling you, I want it to be 5/8, but which is 0.625. I'm putting 0.625 this time, and we want to go in the negative direction, which is down. You always have to remember this, that if you want to go down, you have to put the minus sign in front of it. And as far as our horizontal axis, I'm going to put 0. So we want them to all line up. We don't want any offset in them. If you want it offset, I'll show you what an offset would do. I'm going to put 1 here as an offset, and what it will do is kind of stair step down, and we really don't want that. I'm going to show you the preview of that. Oops, it didn't do as expected. Okay. Oh, I know why it didn't do as expected, because I told it only wanted one pattern. So that's fine. But I want to change that. I don't want to leave it at 1. I'm going to make it 0. So, and as you can see, when I hit preview, it'll do exactly the same thing. But the fact that I'm going to hit escape again. The fact that I put 1 in here, it's not doing a second set. So as you can see, what I'm doing is I want 6 in the vertical axis and only 1 column. You can look at this as rows and columns. horizontal would be columns, vertical would be rows. So I want 6 rows and only 1 column. So that's fine. That's what I wanted. So I'm going to click OK. And there's our array of slots, or our pattern of slots. And if you were putting a fan in there, of course, the fan would need mounting holes. Usually these little fans have holes in the corner. Then you would go and you would put your 4 holes. You could do that with a pattern as well if you wanted. You could do 4 holes around there to mount your fan. And then, if the wires had to pass through, then you could find the ideal place to put a hole for your wire to pass through for your fan. This is all design stuff that most of you guys should already know. It's just in the design phase you would do these kind of things. So this this distance between here is 1/8 of an inch, and as you can see, you couldn't get your hand in there, and large objects couldn't get in there with the fan, blowing in there. It might pick up something in the air and blow it in there or suck it in there, and those would prevent anything large from going um, into the box or whatever it is that you're designing. Often, sometimes you put a foam uh, filter on there, but in front of the fan, so that it keeps, it keeps a lot of the dust from going in there as well. But since these, I'm going to go ahead and do a dimension here so I can show you that these are 1/8 of an inch apart. So I'm going to select that one and that one, and see, it says 0.125. That's what I wanted. I wanted them to be 1/8 apart. So each one of these little bars, if you can imagine, are 1/8 of an inch wide, which makes them fairly strong, but not so wide that you're impeding the air going through. This is this gives you maximum strength and maximum airflow. So again, I'm not teaching you how to design anything. I'm just kind of giving you, for instance, this could work for a fan opening. So really, that's all I had to add to the pattern. It's pretty straightforward, and some of these methods, you may or may not be familiar with them, but these work in AutoCAD as well. If you have to work with AutoCAD, they're very, these menus are very similar to AutoCAD, and as you can see, it automatically, DraftSight automatically names a new drawing no name underscore 0.dwg. You can actually open this drawing in AutoCAD. Or you could save your file as a DXF type drawing. You could say save as or export. You could export it as a PDF, or you could export it as a DXF, or you could save it as a DXF. So you have a lot of options here as far as the DXF. Um, it's just very this program is very versatile in the versioning of um, the the file name that you save. You know, it doesn't say AutoCAD here, but what this is saying that this is the version of AutoCAD drawing file that you could save if this is the version that that you have. So so they can't put AutoCAD in here. AutoCAD is a trademark of Autodesk company, so it wouldn't be legal for them to do that. But that's what this is saying. You could save it as a DWG, which could be opened in AutoCAD. I imagine they had to tiptoe through the tulips in order to be able to set this all up as such. So anyway, I'm going to cancel this. I'm not going to save this. This is a pretty simple uh, drawing, and just for your benefit, I'll go ahead and add um, the 4 mounting holes. And don't forget, we can do our relative positioning. I'm going to select the center point of this hole for my circle and then hit escape. And now where I want my hole is out here. So we're going to go, uh, I'm going to hit enter again for repeating the circle command. And I'm going to, look, as I always say, look down here at what I'm doing. So I'm going to use the at, which is relative positioning. And where I want that hole is at, and I'm just guessing here. I'm going to say minus 0.75. Let's just say that's where our whole X hole position is. And it'd be minus because we're going to the left. We're going to go to the left with this hole. And then in the Y direction, since we're going up, I want to go up. So this is going to be positive. So this will be 0.75 positive. And I'm going to hit enter. And so there's our hole position. Oops. I think I don't think I would want that hole there. I'm going to hit escape. And let's do that again. I would have wanted half of that. Well, okay, first I'm going to select this and then hit escape. Then I'm going to hit enter for circle again, hit at, and I'm going to put minus, and half of 3/4 is 3/8, which is 0.375. If some of you folks are just beginning, and you're working in inches, it would behoove you to kind of learn these decimal equivalents of fractions. So 0.375 is half of 0.750 if you just do the math, and half of 3/4 is 3/8. So that follows. So I'm going to hit enter, and there's where I want my hole. And it always wants you to specify the radius. I don't like that. I'm going to hit D for diameter, and the diameter I want, and this is going to tell you, this is 3/16, so it's 0.1875. That's 3/16 of an inch. That's what I want my diameter to be. Now, I'm going to hit enter, and we're done. Our 3/16 hole is up here, and for American screw gauge, that would be a number 10 screw for a 3/16 hole. That gives you a little clearance for a number 10. So, and of course, what are we going to do? We need 4 of these. Well, we need to do a pattern. Okay, so if we had been keeping up, we know that this hole is 4 inches from this, the center of this hole is 4 inches from this hole. So what we need is from this hole, we need 4 3/4 inches to here. And so let's do a quick linear dimension. I don't want to do this math in my head. So I'm going to go there to there. So that's 3 1/8, and we need 3/4 more, so that's 3 7/8 there. So So we'll go ahead and do a pattern. I'm going to go ahead and select this one single hole, and we'll do our pattern, and we want 2 in the horizontal, and 2 in the vertical. And in the vertical, we want minus 3.875. That's 3 7/8. And in the horizontal, what did we say? 4 3/4. Is that right? So let's just see if that works out. Hey, how about that? So now we have our 4 holes. Hit enter. We're done. Our 4 holes are set. So I hope you learned something from this as far as using DraftSight. Um, I hope you have a great day and keep doing everyday things. Thanks.